Future Hornets, current Hornets, forever Hornets. Welcome back to another episode of What's the Buzz. I'm your host, Pitt, and we have probably one of the most important conversations that we're going to have on this here platform today. I am welcomed by Dean of Financial Aid, Becca Murphy, and we're going to talk about all things money.
Yeah, let's do it. Totally.
Hi, Becca.
Hi, how are you? And should I call you Pitt? Should I call you Jared?
Pitt, Jared, it's synonymous. They all the same.
Okay, all right.
But thank you for being here, first of all, taking
Happy
your
to be here.
time out of your busy schedule to come and have this important conversation. Because in our world of enrollment, this is probably, the second most important thought in the family's conversations in a student's life as far as getting ready to decide where they want to go to school, right? Obviously, is the institution in itself, and then it's the conversation of how I'm going to pay for it.
And you're right, cost is a big part of that. I think of as students are choosing their college, that they're putting this puzzle together, right? And different pieces go in different orders for each student, but cost is up there. Cost is an important, maybe a big piece as they put this puzzle together. So we're happy to have it be transparent and helpful information as they go along, and it starts in the admission office.
And you said transparent.
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the best things about our team as enrollment is we are very transparent. And I'm gonna stick to the script today, right? So I'm gonna read off my pamphlet a little bit. So here at K, we do have this designer sticker price that I call it, that is over $80,000. Now, when I sell that to students, the next thing that come right out of my mouth is, but nobody pays that, right? Just so we can alleviate, all of the stress and anxiety of hearing such a grand number. So could you please provide us with information as to what is included in that sticker price that we have?
And this is such a great question because there's so much jargon in financial aid. And for you to say sticker price, I would say direct cost.
Direct cost, okay.
But even with direct cost, there's something else called cost of attendance, and student and families will see that also. But let's start with direct cost or sticker price, right? That's another one. So direct cost, that sticker price, that includes the tuition, any mandatory fees that all students pay, and that can be different on each campus as far as like what the individual fees are, but any fee that all students pay, housing, and food.
Yeah.
That is what makes up the direct cost, what students can experience on the bill. And that, which the number you mentioned, the just over $80,000, that's what it costs at K. Then this cost of attendance. We also want, speaking on transparency, we want students to also be prepared financially for the other costs that come along with being in college.
Yeah.
And that's going back and forth between home 2 or 3 times a year, travel. And for some students, that's an airplane ride.
Yeah.
For some students, that's the train, or it's a tank of gas to their buddy.
Yeah.
So travel, books and supplies for what they'll need for class, and of course, personal. Shampoo, pizza,
essentials,
midnight.
Absolutely,
yeah.
for sure.
I mean, the stuff that you're not exactly sure what the cost is going to be, but you're living somewhere else, so there's going to be some additional costs.
Yeah.
And so that then is another total. And you're right. When we send out offer letters to families, we illustrate both numbers.
Okay.
One, because, as you're right, now, families want to know what the bill's going to be.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I've got a high school senior myself looking at college. You want to know what's coming out of the family budget for the bill that's going to the school. But we also want to make sure that you're prepared for the nuance of living somewhere else. So we really try to have students have what they need to budget.
Those are things that, essentially families don't necessarily consider, right? But to have that as part of the cost of attendance is definitely helpful because it gives this grander picture, right? This bigger picture, which, I believe is extremely helpful.
Good.
So something that we talk about in our info sessions as counselors is when we get to the financial aid piece, is 98% of our students receive scholarship financial aid from us, right? Most of that coming, or I won't say most of it, but a substantial piece of that is our Lux Esto merit-based scholarship. So can you explain the difference between merit-based aid and need-based aid?
Happy to, yes. So the Lux Esto you mentioned, or passages for our transfer students, those are merit scholarships. Those awards come because of the talent that the student shows academically in their involvement through their school.
Right.
It has nothing to do with what's in the bank account of their parents or themselves. It's renewable each year. They just have to maintain a certain grade point average. It's free money from Kalamazoo College. We're investing in that student and wanting them to enroll. Frankly, that's why we do it. But then you're right. There's this other category of financial aid that is what we call need-based aid. And there's different segments within that need-based aid. It could be more free money, and that would be called grants, or sometimes a generic term like awards. But that's free money also from other sources. Maybe the college, maybe the state, maybe the federal government, but it's our job in financial aid to find those resources. Other examples of need-based aid would be student loans.
Right.
Students often hear about that, know about those, and or an opportunity to work on campus and earn some wage that the student would receive. So that's a need-based aid. And the way you receive full consideration for financial aid at Kalamazoo College, if you are a U.S. citizen, is to file the FAFSA. That's the only form we need. Some schools have other forms to supplement the FAFSA. At K, which, again, trying to make it easy. We want students to pursue their education and the dreams that they have. So we just ask for the FAFSA. And you can send it to up to 20 schools if you want to.
Right.
So we hope it's not too hard for us to receive their information, to then in turn send a complete financial aid offer.
Well, I tell you, the FAFSA sent us in a tizzy a couple years ago, didn't it? Right, when they tried to revamp it and all of the things. So again, that's another testament to how well your team works and communicates with us.
Thank you.
Because that time was just so much limbo, right? Because it opened up later. And
students couldn't
get information in, right? So now, in a world where students are already kind of seeing a devalue in higher education, and then to have to go through that hoop, and that becoming more difficult than what it's been, I believe it's a much easier and better to navigate now. But we have had experiences in our office where we've talked to families about filling out the FAFSA, and they say, well, we're not going to get anything, so we're not going to fill it out. What would you advise those families to do, or what kind of conversation would you have with them to encourage them to do so?
I think what's best for the family, especially if this is their first that they're sending to school, and sometimes you're right, we hear it too, oh, my financial planner says I won't get anything. I mean, you just don't know the rule. There's so many rules for the different aid programs, just even thinking of the ones we have here in the state of Michigan, they've changed over the years. So what used to be true may not still be true. There's, I believe, no harm in submitting a FAFSA. And if in the first year the family has the data to see that it's not worth their time, they don't have to file it in future years. Their merit scholarship will renew without a FAFSA.
Right.
But I really see there's no harm in filing a FAFSA to know for sure what programs the student is eligible for.
Right. So what if a family is super proactive, right? So they've applied, their student got admitted, and in their admission letter, we do such a great job of providing them with their merit-based aid right then and there, so they at least have an idea of what that would be, so they get their Lux Esto scholarship upon the admission letter. But I've definitely had conversations with families where they're like, okay, where's the full financial aid package? And I'm like, well, we don't have that for you yet, right? Did you file your FAFSA? That hasn't come through for us yet. And then from there, you have to be patient and allow our financial aid team to do the amazing work that they do. But here's his net price calculator. So is that something that in our department, in our office, that you would encourage us to do and send families to before they can get their full financial aid package?
Yes, the net price calculator is a tool. It's a better tool for students who are even younger, in my opinion. So sophomores, juniors, meant to give a ballpark idea of what the cost would be to attend. We do our best to update it with current scholarships, with current cost of attendance, for what we know, but we can't predict in the future. So that's why I say it's a good ballpark estimate. For our admitted seniors, I would say the best really is to wait for the FAFSA, to not decide whether or not to apply based on the net price calculator. Again, because it's meant to be a ballpark, it's meant to give some detail, some transparency to what the student will experience, but the best, most exact, is to go ahead and file the FAFSA and allow us to send a complete financial aid offer letter.
I'm glad we all on the same page. I'm glad we all on the same page.
And, time is precious for these seniors. Oh, my goodness, they're busy. They're involved, especially a Kalamazoo College student. So the precious time that they do have to spend it on completing that FAFSA is where I would suggest they spend their time.
So I've heard something called hidden costs.
Ooh, yeah.
I was having a one-on-one with the family, and the mother actually works in higher ed at a different institution, and she straight up hit me with so what's the hidden cost? And I said, that's a great question. Let me go do my research and get back to you on that. So here I am doing my research. So could you explain to us or let us know what are hidden costs, and if there are any hidden costs within Kalamazoo College's financial piece, what would those be for families?
Yeah, that's a good question, and one I've thought a lot about since you shared with me this question. And I guess to me, again, at Kalamazoo, we really try hard for there to be no hidden costs.
Yeah.
But I suppose, in thinking about this from the family's perspective, they could feel... so our cost of attendance that we talked about earlier, we have the direct costs, the sticker price, and then this cost of attendance. The cost of attendance, we talked about travel, we talked about personal. Those are averages.
Got you.
Those are meant on a typical student experience. But even, as I thought about this question, thinking about our the year the student goes abroad, or the time that the student chooses to study abroad, we work with our Center for International Programs. They work with their students who previously went on all these different programs to really get a handle on cost so that students don't feel that there's a surprise. Yeah. Now, maybe another example of a hidden cost is a surprise expense.
Right.
Maybe their car all of a sudden needs work. Maybe there was an additional lab fee they weren't planning on.
Right.
We hope to prepare the student for what they will experience, but we can't prepare them for everything.
For sure.
So, to have, this is a budgeting. This could come down to budgeting and to knowing, to hopefully have a budget that has a little bit of flexibility.
For sure.
For the unknowns and the surprise expenses that may happen.
Got you. And I thank you for clarifying and clearing that up. But you mentioned study abroad, right? And this is something that Kalamazoo College is huge on, probably one of our biggest selling points because of how in-depth our study abroad program is, and for the longest it's been, available for students. But one thing that we pride ourselves on is essentially being able to tell students that, you go study abroad, it's not going to cost you more than essentially what you'll be paying on campus or whatever the case is. Could you explain that a little bit?
I sure can. And I would like to further qualify what you've just said.
Please and thank you.
Yes. So you're right. So again, this financial experience the student's going to have is the experience of what they're billed and then the other costs.
Got you.
Right.
Yes.
So you're right to say that when a student studies abroad, they don't experience a different tuition charge. As if, it's the same. It's as if they were on campus. There's what we call a study abroad program fee, but that's the same as if they were on campus living in a double room and having the 20 meal plan. Yeah. So, the billing is similar to what they would experience if they were on campus, depending on their individual choices, of course. But then there are the costs of how much are they traveling while they're abroad?
Right.
Are they going somewhere every weekend on a train? Right. Are they buying a bunch of souvenirs for their whole neighborhood that they want to bring home? Again, these personal choices.
Yep.
But we really do want cost to not be a reason for students to go abroad. And again, it comes to budgeting. We meet with students as they're going abroad before they go, as they're deciding which program they want to attend. Can they afford it? We have this rich information that the Center for International Programs provides for students. We use it as we talk with students and counsel students to help them come up with their budget. What should they have in their account when they go abroad? Again, to have a great time, to be prepared for unexpected expenses.
Yeah.
Should something, they get sick, just you can't plan for everything.
For sure.
But we want them to be able to go if they want to go, for how long they want to go.
And I always tell students and families, that's one of my biggest regrets. I didn't go study abroad. If I could do K over again, I most definitely would. And part of my reasoning for not going was I had misinformation.
Oh.
And I was misinformed, and I used to believe that, man, it gotta be more expensive to go to Spain than being here in Kalamazoo, Michigan. You can't convince me that it's not. But to later on find out that that's not the truth, right? And then to have you further qualify what we provide students, I think that just sets us even higher, you know, on people's lists and people's places that they want to attend, because the experience that we provide students with study abroad, and then the affordability of it.
That's right.
It's second to none.
Well, and I realized I just really only spoke about the billing experience, I didn't go further to say, and their aid will apply towards those typical charges.
Okay.
So again, like, you know, what they are used to paying on a bill. There are some exceptions, and you know, my analytical mind wants to tell you about those exceptions just in case a student's listening and is like, yeah, but, you know, so for example, just one of them, if the student is an RA the year before,
Got you.
they aren't charged housing, so they haven't been paying housing. So if all of a sudden they're going abroad and they experience that equivalent charge, it can feel like a new expense. But they were an exception the year before. But again, we counsel families or students when they're making these choices. They come to us. We are happy to talk to them and help them work through what their experience will be.
And I think that's even more helpful to know that there are conversations being had before they go abroad for them to understand the financial piece of them going study abroad.
And let's just talk there for a second. And because we think we are communicating in the most clear way, right? But this is hard information.
This
is financial information that students probably haven't had to think much about before. And what I love about financial aid is that it's a 4-year relationship with our students. It's awesome. I used to do admissions. It was wonderful. It was rainbows and unicorns and sunshine, and it was fun. And what I love about the work in financial aid is we get to walk along with the student for 4 years. And I guess this is just a plug to students when they come and enroll to know that we're waiting to help them. We don't know when they need us.
For sure.
We reach out, we try to share information, but if there's something going on and they need, it would be helpful to come talk to somebody. We are available. You can stop in, no appointment needed. But just, I guess, a plug to remind students that to ask for more information when they need it.
And I think that's helpful too, because this is it can be overwhelming and intimidating.
Yes.
Intimidating even. Like, money is intimidating.
Money is emotional.
You know, it is.
It is emotional.
That's a great way of putting it, Becca. It is emotional.
Good and bad, but it's you need it to survive. And, you know, so, and again, like, these are some big financial decisions that oftentimes our case students are deciding for the first time.
For sure. So, student fills out their FAFSA.
Yes.
Right? It comes to you guys.
Yes.
They've already been admitted, got their Lux Esto scholarship. Now it is time for them to receive their full financial aid package. What is included in that full financial aid package? If I'm a student and I'm getting this email, I'm getting it in the mail, and me and my family sitting at the table looking at this, you know, foreign language.
Right.
Essentially, what am I looking at, and what can I expect from this full financial aid package?
Yes. So the financial aid offer is a summary of all of the aid that the student is eligible for. So this includes those merit scholarships we talked about.
Yes.
That's included in there. And then any other of the financial aid resources from the sources we talked about before, you know, the state, if they're a Michigan student, a federal government for sure, and then maybe additional Kalamazoo College resources. Now, specifically, our offer letter, I think, is awesome.
Yeah,
I'm biased,
I would second that.
But it's what we really try to do is to put the financial aid information in a form that is like a bill. Again, families are wanting to know, okay, what's the bottom line?
Yep.
What are we going to pay? What are they asking for us to pay? And so what our financial aid offer letter does, it does two things. First is that using the direct costs, what the student will be billed for. So tuition, as a first-year student, that means tuition, room, board, and those fees we talked about. So starting with those costs, then all of the aid that they may be eligible for. And we do categorize the aid so it is clear which money is free, which money doesn't need to be paid back, the grants and the scholarships.
Yes.
Then which part of the aid is a loan. And just by filing the FAFSA, the student will get a student loan. They don't have to take it.
Yes.
But we are required, if they file a FAFSA, to show the student that they are eligible for the student loan.
Got you.
And as a first-year student, that's $5,500 for the year. And then if this student is eligible for work, that will also be illustrated. And then there's some math done on this offer letter. The math that we do does not include the work study. And in fact, we have two balances due, if you will. That one is if you just consider the free money, this is how much you'd owe for the year.
Yeah.
If you also considered the student loans, then you would instead owe this much. And then below those totals is the work eligibility. And I guess just as a little point of information or insider information, some schools do put the work up above in the math.
Okay.
And in my opinion, that doesn't feel transparent.
Okay.
Simply because it's up to the student to work the hours.
For sure.
It's up to the family to decide, yes, we also want you to work. And, you know, so like at Kalamazoo College, the work award is $3,000. On average, student may only earn, say, $1,500. And if we were doing the math, then they would be $1,500 short. And that would be a hidden cost, I guess. You know, that would be an unexpected cost. So in our mind, the work is gravy. It's extra.
Got you.
It is meant to maybe help pay for books in future terms, or to buy that train ticket home, or
keep a little gas in the car.
Gas in the car, that's right.
Sure.
And so anyway, so our offer letter, that's what the main first page information shows is this bill. But then all the additional information goes over cost of attendance, the other costs that the student won't be billed by the college for, but that they could experience. More information, oh gosh, there's all sorts of other resources to help understand what the offer letter is trying to explain. But, you know, more information about loans, about working, about health insurance if they need it, you know, various topics.
For sure. So if a student were to apply for external scholarships, right, whether it's a community foundation or different organizations within their communities and cities, at what point would they submit those scholarships to be considered within their final billing or whatever their financial aid package is?
Great question. And we love when students have outside scholarship too, because it just reduces their responsibility, their financial responsibility. So we usually start seeing them over the summer.
Okay.
That's usually, it seems, when students are hearing from the foundations or the booster clubs or the school, you know, that they've been awarded a scholarship for a certain amount.
Right.
Whenever the student hears, though, we're happy to know whether they have the check or not. We'll add it to their award so that we know to watch for it. It's often then what a next question is from a family is, ooh, am I going to lose some of my scholarship you've given me?
Right.
Because I've got this other scholarship.
Right.
And that's not how we do it at K. If we have to reduce anything, we would look to the loans first.
Gotcha.
The least what we consider the least desirable source of financial aid. And then we would send a revised offer letter so you knew about the change, so the student knew about the change.
Talk to me a little bit about, what's the word I'm looking for? I just had it. Appeals. Ooh, thank you. Appeals. So if a family were to get their package, you're like, oh yeah, this all right, but I know y'all can give us some more, right? What is that process like? Do we, you know, allow families to enact on appeals, or like what is that like for families?
So we don't negotiate. We go forward with our best financial aid offer. We invest in our students because we believe that they will be successful here. We don't play the game. However, there can be financial changes in a family.
Right. And
we want to know about that. And so if that happens to describe your situation or the student's situation, what we would encourage them to do is to either start with their admission counselor. And so that, you know, what we want to know is, has there been a job loss?
Right.
Has there been a reduction in wage, a death, marriage, a change in marriage, you know, separation, divorce, and we would like to walk through the situation with the family to understand maybe if this is an opportunity to modify what the FAFSA says to maybe become eligible for more financial aid.
Yeah.
But we don't want to have the student jump through hoops just to jump through hoops in that situation. That's why we'd like to have a conversation first for the student's perspective and the student's benefit to know if we then need to request some taxes and official forms.
That's something that I've been able to say in great confidence with our families, is the fact that we do lead with our best package and our best offer. Like you said, we don't play that game.
No, we want you here. Let's
like,
do it.
Why send you through the rigmarole of trying to find an extra 5,000 or 6,000, 1,000 here? Right now, man, let's just put it all on the table, all in, pushing all my chips, right? So you can understand, fully, big picture, what the cost and what the bill is going to be. So again, kudos, and if I could clap my hands, I'll clap my hands for you. But even though we are a private institution, and I think there's a lot of, reputations, a lot of misconceptions that come with private schools. Like everybody and their grandmama think people ride around in BMWs and Range Rovers around campus and whatnot. Well, little did they know, like the students that really do, walk this campus, and how diverse the economic background is of the students that we have on campus. So how does Kalamazoo College measure up amongst other private institutions and even public institutions when it comes to, financial aid?
Yeah, I just to go along with your public versus private, and I am completely biased for four-year private liberal arts institutions.
Me too.
Yeah, like I went to one. Yeah. I'm sending my kid to one. I've only worked at them, and I really what a roadblock that I know is that's tied to being a private school is the cost.
Yeah.
And as we've already talked about, more than $80,000 is our sticker price. And yet, everybody who's admitted receives a robust scholarship. And at K, we invest in our students. We invest in smart students. We invest in students who come from all sorts of places with all sorts of talents. And the thing that keeps them, that unites them, is that they've all chosen Kalamazoo College, but for totally different reasons.
Absolutely.
So this quilt that gets knit every year with each new class looks different, but they've all chosen K. And so, I'm biased for the small classes.
Yes.
Faculty contact.
Yep.
And as you mentioned, at K, we study abroad. That's woven into the conversation and experience that our students have by the time that they graduate. So I just think that, K does it so well with a global perspective.
Yeah. I would agree. I would agree. And
it's a nurturing environment.
It definitely is.
Where I hope and I believe students feel safe to take risk and grow, right? Be uncomfortable in that growth, because it is uncomfortable, right? If you're doing it right, it's uncomfortable.
And there's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of growth that comes from discomfort, right? When a young person's knees start hurting, the first thing people say, "Oh man, you growing," right?
Yeah.
Right? And that's a lot of discomfort. I ain't never had that issue because I ain't 6 foot, but I'm sure somebody's had that, But at the end of the day, being an alum myself, I wouldn't be the person that I am, sitting here across from you without Kalamazoo College, without the small private liberal arts school, without the small classroom settings, without professors and advisors and staff and other faculty members on campus knowing me as Jared, knowing me as Pitt, the multi layers and how multifaceted and the versatility of myself, and a
great communicator. I'm sure that was developed while you were here.
Absolutely.
Both oral, written, critical thinking.
Absolutely. And just being, like you said, being challenged in all aspects, academically, socially, mentally, financially, like all of these things challenge me to be this man that I am today. And
what I think you should applaud also, and what I hope students embrace when they come, is that you were willing to go through that growth.
100%. And
you were willing to be challenged and to see where it took you.
I always say K is a place that chooses you. You don't really choose K. And I say that because of my own personal experience. Never in a million years did I think I was going to be at a small liberal arts college and Kalamazoo College in itself. But I kept showing up to events and visits. I kept interacting with, the publications and the mailers I was getting. I had conversations with financial aid, or listened to conversations about financial aid that my parents were having, and things just continued to reveal themselves. And at some point, it was like, this is where I gotta be. Mm-hmm. So my last question before we get out of here is what I ask all of our guests. Mm-hmm. Why K?
This is so wonderful. Mm-hmm. And I could really answer so many ways. And where I'm landing today, mm-hmm. what's in my heart today, mm-hmm. is when students come here, there is a tight-knit community of staff members, frankly, mm-hmm. The people who work in the offices, the administrative offices, who are student-focused,
yes,
ready to support the student through their journey here. Mm-hmm. And I just think of all of the offices on campus, from the registrar's office, the Center for International Programs, the Center for Career and Professional Development, advising, people over in our student union, mm-hmm. just student development, mm-hmm. RAs, mm-hmm. Just the staff side of the college. We work here because we believe in the student experience.
Absolutely.
We believe in this growth that the student's going to experience while they're here. And it gets bumpy. Mm-hmm. And that's why we have jobs. Mm-hmm. And that's why we believe in showing up every day to support the student through this growth and mm-hmm. this journey to getting their degree, which is life-changing.
For sure.
So I guess I just kind of want to applaud and recognize the committed staff that are here serving students.
Well, I thank you for that approach. We haven't had anyone take that approach as far as YK, but it is extremely crucial, the jobs that we do as staff members on campus and all of the departments, to make this place a place that students can be challenged, can grow, can thrive, can experience all the things that they are willing to experience and willing to walk into. And we keep showing up for work every day, right. Not because, we get to pay our bills with the check that they give us, but
it's meaningful.
But it's meaningful, and it's purpose work, right? Purpose-driven mm-hmm. work. And
so it's so easy to think of their classroom experience, too.
Yep.
And that's above none, mm-hmm. that's outrageous. It is wonderful. And, so I guess assuming that is true, mm-hmm. right? That our faculty and the academic experiences the student receives are there.
100%.
There's also this second layer of staff.
For sure. Well, thank you, Becca.
You're very welcome. I appreciate it.
Dean Murphy, how does that sound, Dean?
No, and that's for students too also. Please call me by my first name. But thank you for the time. I really appreciate it and enjoyed it.
No, you shared a lot of insightful information, and I hope that those that interact with this episode and this content take something from it, mm-hmm. right? And can truly have some questions answered that may be, resting in the back of their minds, or things that they may be looking to ask down the road. I hope we proactively have taken care of some of those concerns.
Out, if anything, if this sparks some question, just ask your question. Mm-hmm. No question is a bad question or wrong question.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
That's another episode, and we are so privileged. First of all, before I get out of here, I do want to say thank you to you and your team and our partnership and enrollment and the work that we do specifically with admissions and financial aid, because we are front-facing. Like, our office is front-facing, but y'all are right there. y'all second behind us, right? Because if I ain't got the answer, I'm already knowing who I'm passing it to, and you guys do y'all work so gracefully.
Thank you.
And also in a timely manner. Like, I think there have been some experiences. I know I had some experiences where I was trying to communicate with certain institutions about financial aid, and they had me in limbo for a week and a half, 2 weeks. But you guys are very timely with your responses, and also very considerate in your responses. And I think just the fact that you try to get the overall picture of a family and a student's experience and life circumstance to better understand how to put them in a best case scenario financially here at K. That takes a lot of love for the work, but it takes a lot of love for the students that y'all interacting with, regardless if you know them or not. So thank you to you and your team.
Thank you.
And that's another episode of What's the Buzz. Continue to interact with our content. We appreciate you guys. We're going to have some greater things coming for you all. That's the buzz.